Welcome back to You Can Understand Shakespeare. I'm John Donovan, former English teacher, professional actor, and lover of Shakespeare. We are going through Romeo and Juliet. We are on Act 2, Scene 0, Scene 1, and Scene 2. We are getting into the balcony scene. It's a famous scene, and we're going to see why today. You can understand Shakespeare. All you need to do is keep in mind that this is a script. You're meant to see it performed by professional actors. It's going to help you understand it way more. Number two, there's poetry in here. And if we struggle reading poetry because we don't know the devices or just we're not used to poetic language, that's also going to be a little tricky. Last of all, we don't have the prior knowledge. Shakespeare's smarter than us. But that's actually good news because we can always learn more and catch up to him. There's not something wrong with him. There's something wrong with just what we don't yet know. And that's what I'm here for, to walk you through this. This is not an analysis and it's not dumbing it down, but rather we are reading through this together so you can understand what this says. So then you can go and work on your projects for English class or for your book club or just because you want to understand it more. So you're not here to hear my voice. You are here to listen to the words of William Shakespeare. So let's dive into it with Act 2, Scene 0. The chorus is back. Prologue is back. So he enters and he says, "Now old desire doth in his deathbed lie." The old desire is the old desire for Rosaline, Romeo's former love. So old desire doth in his deathbed lie, and young affection gapes, longs to be his heir. Where there once was old desire, now new desire, young affection, Juliet, is going to take that place. That fair for which love groaned for and would die. That fair, it's not a carnival. That fair is that fair lady. That fair which love groaned for and would die, with tender Juliet matched, is now not fair. When matched with Juliet, Rosaline's no longer fair, no longer beautiful. Now Romeo is beloved and loves again. Alike bewitched by the charm of looks. Whenever you have that apostrophe E, it adds, it's not bewitched, it's bewitched because you need 10 syllables. So he is alike bewitched by the charm of looks, by appearances, by desirous glances. But to his foe supposed, he must complain. So his foe supposed, because she's a Capulet. He must complain, meaning he must make lovesick speeches. This is very much in the tradition of the man would say, "Oh, I love you, please, please." And she go, "Oh, no," playing the hard to get. So he'd be complaining in that way. So he has to complain to his foe supposed, because she loves him too. And she steals love's sweet bait from fearful hooks. Love is on a hook. She's like a fish. And she's like, "Oh, you can get this love, but you have to steal it off the hook without getting caught by the danger that is the fact that he is a Montague. Only love sprung for your own hate. Being held a foe, he may not have access to breathe such vows as lovers use to swear. And she, as much in love, her means much less to meet her new beloved anywhere. But passion lends them power, time means, to meet, tempering extremities, meaning mitigating dangers, with extreme sweet. The danger is made up for with how sweet their love is." And the chorus leaves, giving us the full run-through. This is the last time we're going to see chorus. This is the last sonnet that we're getting from him. Rosaline's out, Juliet's in. They are from rival houses. They are playing a dangerous game. Act 2, Scene 1. Romeo enters alone. He has just left the party. And he says, "Can I go forward when my heart is here? My heart is Juliet. Turn back, dull earth, and find thy center out." Dull earth. Earth is what humans are made of biblically. Adam, the first man from the Bible, is made from clay, from the dust of the earth. And so being a human, he's also made from earth. So it says, turn back, turn around, dull earth, and find thy center out. This is a twofold thing. His center is his heart, which is Juliet. But the center of an earth is also its axis, the thing that it spins around, that it turns back around. So he's going to withdraw to go to Juliet, at which point enters Benvolio with Mercutio. He says, "Romeo, my cousin, Romeo, Romeo." Mercutio, he is wise, and on my life hath stolen him home to bed. He's gone to bed. He ran this way and leapt to this orchard wall. "Call, good Mercutio, call to him." Mercutio's going to play a little bit of that. He goes, "Nay, no, I'll conjure too. I'm going to summon him like a spirit." Right? So he performs this fake magical ceremony where he's going to call aloud names of Romeo and try to conjure him, summon him by invocations with some type of magic spell that would summon Romeo as if he were a demon or a spirit. So he says, "Romeo, humors." Humors, again, those are the four humors. Pure moods. They're not mixed together to form an even temper. Madman, passion, lover. These are all names to describe Romeo. They think he's still in love with Rosaline. Appear thou in the likeness of a sigh. He's asking him to appear looking in the likeness. You look like a sigh. A sigh is common for lovers. I'm in love. Speak but one rhyme and I am satisfied, because lovers create poetry. Cry but I me. It's a thing of, I'm heartsick. Oh, I me. Oh, woe is me. Cry but I me. Pronounce but love and dove. That's one of those rhymes. Speak to my gossip Venus one fair word. Venus is the goddess of love. It is the Roman name for Aphrodite, Greek goddess of love. Speak to her one nickname for her purblind son and heir. Purblind meaning he's dim-sighted, he's blind. Young Abraham Cupid. Cupid is the daughter of Venus, right? Cupid, as we know, is blind. He shoots indiscriminately, so that's why he's purblind. He's young because he's a baby, but he's also called Abraham. Abraham being a patriarch, an old man from the Bible. So he's also a very old god. So he's young Abraham Cupid. He, Cupid, that shot so true when King Cophetua loved the beggar maid. So this King Cophetua is a story of a king who falls in love with a beggar and makes her his queen as the subject of a popular ballad. Very Cinderella, right? That story sort of endures. There's that dash. So where he was just calling to Romeo, that dash is now he's talking to someone else. He's talking to Benvolio. He heareth not, he stirreth not, he moveth not. The ape is dead, and this means, this refers to a magic trick where an ape would pretend to be dead through training, and the magician would revive him back from the dead. So he says, the ape is dead, and I must conjure him. So now he's going to be invoking some things about Rosaline. Think that if I talk about the one that Romeo loves, that's gonna attract him here. That's gonna attract him here. Sorry, I'm just checking something really quick. I'm looking for the act break because we should be in Act 2, Scene 1. So the thing that's throwing me off here as we're talking, and I'm trying to make sure I have the right thing. Act 2, I guess it's all Act 2, Scene 2. Okay. Generally, sorry, this is a little bit weird. Generally, Act 2, Scene 2 is what is known as the balcony scene, where there's a little bit of a break here, where all of this takes place, that Romeo turns in and leaves, and that's the end of that. Scene 1. It's the balcony scene. That's what we're talking about. So, let's get back to the conjuring of Romeo. So he says, the ape is dead, and I must conjure him. I conjure thee by Rosaline's bright eyes, by her high forehead, and her scarlet lip, by her fine foot, straight leg, and quivering thigh, and the demesnes that there adjacent lie. He's moving up her leg by a foot to the leg, to the quivering thigh. That's that word was chosen appropriately. To the demesnes, which means estates, to that landscape that there adjacent lie. What lies adjacent to the two quivering thighs? I will leave that to your imagination. Mercutio's dirty. And I feel weird kind of breaking that open for people as we're talking about Romeo and Juliet. But they chose the text. I'm just helping you understand what it's saying. And in thy likeness, thou appear to us. Appear to us looking like yourself. And if he hear thee, thou wilt anger him. Talking about Rosalind, that's why you're going to make him upset. This cannot anger him. 'Twould anger him to raise a spirit in his mistress's circle of some strange nature. Spirit is a word for semen, and the entire speech is filled with obscene wordplay. That's here. So it would anger him to raise, that word is important, raise a spirit in his mistress's circle. Whenever you have a circle or something can get put into, or something that resembles zero, we know what we're referring to. We're referring to those demesnes near the quivering thigh. It's of some strange nature, that spirit is. So it's a stranger's. So what would really anger him is if someone else were to have their spirit in her circle, so to speak, and letting it there stand till she had laid it and conjured it down. And all of those words mean what you think. Letting the strange nature spirit stand there until she had laid it. We still talk about this in terms of doing the deed, about getting laid. Until she had laid it and conjured it down. That were some spite. My invocation is fair and honest in his mistress's name. I conjure only but to raise up him. And that's, again, that word raise is exactly what he's talking about. I'm conjuring so I can raise up him. What part of Romeo does he want to raise up at the name of Rosaline? You do the math. Mercutio, always making these dirty jokes. He says, come. He hath hid himself among these trees to be consorted with the humorous night. Blind is his love, and best befits the dark. To be consorted means in the company, and humorous, it's again of the humors. So this knight is like his humors, which is melancholy, because they still think that he's lovesick. Mercutio says, if love be blind, love cannot hit the mark. And here we have again, Cupid shoots arrows. If love is blind, it can't hit the mark it's aiming for. But also, love cannot hit the mark, which is a certain mark in, let's say, the mistress's circle. Now, will he sit under a medlar tree? A medlar tree has a fruit that is thought to resemble the female sex organ, or the anus. And it has a play on metal in the sense of have sexual intercourse with. So the medlar tree is a very sexual image. And he says, will he sit under a medlar tree and wish his mistress were that kind of fruit, as maids call medlars when they laugh alone? We just read why maids laugh when they're alone. Like, medlars, ha. Oh, Romeo, that she were. Oh, that she were. An open arse, an open medlar, and thou, a popperin pear. A popperin pear is a pear from Popperinga in Flanders, and it puns on popper in, or pop her in. Saying, oh, if only she was a medlar and you were a popperin pear. Romeo, good night. He says, I'll do my truckle bed, which is like a trundle bed. It goes under. It's a sort of a small bed that's stored under a larger bed. Perhaps you had one at some point. So he's going to go sleep on that. Don't know why he will. He's kinsman to the prince. He might be. Maybe he's poor. Who knows? He says, this field bed lying out in the open field is too cold for me to sleep. Come, shall we go? And Ben fully agrees. He says, go then. For 'tis in vain to seek him here, that means not to be found. He means not to be found. He doesn't want to be found. So it's in vain that we seek for him. And they leave. And Romeo comes forward. He jests at scars that never felt a wound. But soft, but wait. What light through yonder window breaks? So there a light should appear up on the upper balcony. Because this is the balcony scene. So what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. So light first arises in the east, because the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. And so Juliet is the cause of this light, because she's like the sun, so glorious. Arise, fair sun, that's Juliet, and kill the envious moon. Why kill the moon? Well, because the moon is the emblem of Diana, goddess of chastity. So kill the envious moon. The moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art more fair than she. Fair not as in just, but beautiful. So the moon is pale. The moon is pale. It's white. He's saying that the reason why she's pale is that she's sick with jealousy that you are more beautiful than she. Be not her maid, since she's envious. Don't follow the moon. Don't follow Diana, goddess of chastity. Her vestal, meaning her virginal livery, is but sick and green. So the things that she's wearing that depict the fact that she is a virgin, they're sick and green. And there's a belief here, I have a footnote, that unfulfilled sexual desire was thought to cause green sickness or anemia in adolescent girls. And it's also again referring to the moon's pallor. So her vestal livery, her virginal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. Take off your virginal livery. Take off the clothes that signify virginity. One thing is on Romeo's mind, and he's not being creepy staring, because he's not like staring in there, but we know what's on his mind. And enter Juliet above. Oh, it is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were my lady. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? She's thoughtful. She's lost in discourse. So she's saying a lot with her face, and this requires acting from Juliet, but she's not actually saying anything. What of that? Her eye discourses. The eyes are the window to the soul, and they are discoursing, they are speaking. I will answer it. I am too bold, 'tis not to me she speaks. So he second guesses himself. I will answer it. No, I'm too bold. It's not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. And this is very poetic. Here you're saying that two of the stars that are shining in heaven, if they have business, will entreat, ask her eyes, hey, can you go hang up in heaven while we have some business in return? Ask, what if her eyes were there? They, the stars, in her head. The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Daylight shames a lamp, because the sun is so bright that it's like, why you don't need a light on it. It's why you keep lights off in the middle of the day, because we got sunlight. So too would the brightness of her cheek shame the stars in her eyes, the stars that are taking those place when they asked her eyes to go up in the sky. You have to kind of follow him through all this for it to make sense. He's saying she has a beautiful, bright cheek, and her eyes are like stars. Her eye in heaven would through the airy regions stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. So if the stars are in her eyes, and her eyes are in the stars, her eyes would be so bright that birds would think that it's daytime. They'd be like more suns. Because remember, Juliet is the sun. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. So that's a stage note. So Juliet will be up there leaning her hand upon her cheek, which is, oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, but I might touch thy cheek. Juliet has her first line here. She says, I, me, which, as we remember, Mercutio says that lovers cry, I, me. Juliet's in love. Romeo has an aside. He's speaking now to himself and to the audience. She speaks. Pause, pause. Oh, speak again, bright angel. For thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven an angel, unto the white upturned wondrous eyes. With the wondering eyes, they're looking up, and so they're white, because you can see the whites of the eyes as they are upturned. The white upturned wondering eyes of mortals, that fall back to gaze on him, the winged messenger of heaven, when he bestrides, when he strides, walks the lazy puffing clouds, and sails upon the bosom of the air. Comparing to an angel. Juliet. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou? Romeo. Wherefore means why. What did Juliet just learn? Not that Romeo's here. She doesn't know that Romeo's here. She's sharing her private thoughts. She just learned that he's a Montague. So he's saying, Romeo, Romeo, why are you Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Why would she want him to do this? Well, if he denies his father, refuses his name, he's not a Montague and they can be together. Or if thou wilt not, if you'll not refuse your family, be but sworn my love, swear to my love, and I'll no longer be a captive. I'll lose my family for you. And Romeo asks himself, shall I hear more or shall I speak at this? And Juliet's going to keep pondering on this name problem. He says, 'tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? What is the name? Where does the name live in the person? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. And you can play that very straight. It's going to be any other part belonging to a man, or maybe Juliet's getting a little dirty too, thinking about what part of a man Montague does not reside in. And she goes, oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. We can call a rose anything you want. There's a famous children's book out there called Frindle, where they decided to call the pen a Frindle instead of a pen. And it's still a pen. It still has whatever a pen does. We're just calling it something different. I'll call a rose something different. It'll smell just as sweet. So I could call, so Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain, keep that dear perfection which he owns, without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, shed it, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself. Get rid of your name and you get me. Romeo, that's all he needed to hear. He says, I take thee at thy word. Call me but love. Let that be my name. And I'll be new baptized. I'll be a new person. Right? When you're baptized, you get a new name. But again, religious imagery here, right? Because for Romeo, love is a religion, pretty much. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo. And Juliet is rightfully pretty scared. What man art thou that thus bescreened in night, screened by the night, hidden in the night, so stumblest on my counsel, my private thoughts? Romeo is going to pick up on what he just heard. By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint. Remember, what's his nickname for Juliet? Dear saint. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, if I had my name written down, I would tear the word. And Juliet recognizes, my ears have yet not drunk 100 words of thy tongue's uttering, yet I know the sound. Juliet has not even heard 100 words from this tongue, but she knows exactly who it is. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague? And also, quick pause, they haven't exchanged even 100 words. And she knows who he is. This is not a well thought out love affair, but they're in love and they're young. She's not even 14 yet. Totally expecting. And it says, are you not Romeo and Montague? He says, neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike. Juliet, how camest thou hither? How came you here? Tell me. And wherefore? Why? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death. This place is death, considering who thou art. If any of my kinsmen find thee here, kinsmen my family, with love's light wings did I o'erperch, did I fly over these walls. Remember, love is Cupid. Cupid has wings. So with Cupid's wings, I flew over these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore, thy kinsmen are no stop to me. They will not stop me. They're not an obstacle. And Juliet makes it plain. She says, if they do see thee, they will murder thee. Romeo, so suave, so smooth. Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity. Your eye is more dangerous than any of their swords. You go, oh, wait, doesn't Romeo love her? Yeah, but there's something scary in the beloved, right? An eye shoots darts, shoots arrows. You can shoot darting glances. So her eye is way more dangerous than any of their swords. And also, she might look at him not sweet, and that is way worse to him than being killed, as he'll say in just a second. So if you just look sweet, then I am proof against, I am impervious to their enmity, their hate. And Juliet says, I would not for the world they saw thee here. I wouldn't trade the world for it. And Romeo says, well, I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes. But thou love me, and if you were not to love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prolonged, wanting of thy love. If I am wanting of thy love, I don't have it. So it's better that I die now from their hate than I live long without your love. By whose direction foundst thou out this place? Now, Juliet's asking a lot of quick questions. How did you get here? Why did you come here? Etc., etc. Is she dodging the question? A lot of this does come to how coy the actress wants to play Juliet. I mean, after all, she really likes this guy a lot. We just heard it about she's willing to give all of herself to him. And Romeo's really laying it on. He's really making his intentions clear. He says, what direction I found out? By love. That first did prompt me to inquire. Love is what first made me ask where you are, and then love showed me where you are. He, love, lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. He told me where to go, and I gave eyes so he could see where to go. I am no pilot, like a captain of a ship. Yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I should adventure for such merchandise. I would sail to the farthest shore if you were there. Juliet says, thou knowest the mask of night is on my face. It's dark, and the night is hiding my face. Else would a maiden blush, but paint my cheek. The blush would paint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Because she shared her private thoughts about how much she loves him. Fain, which means gladly would I dwell on form, which is the proper way to act when you're being courted. So gladly would I dwell on the proper way to act. I would fain gladly, fain deny what I have spoke. But farewell compliment, farewell the polite conventions of how we normally court each other. So I would gladly stick on that, but farewell to it. I'm going to cut to the chase. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet, if thou swearest, if you swear you love, thou mayst prove false. If you swear that you love me, you might one day prove that that's not true. At lovers' perjuries, a perjury is when you lie under oath. It's a crime. You can't, when you testify in court, you have to tell the truth. And if you lie under oath, you have committed perjury. So when lovers swear and then are not faithful, this is a lover's perjury. So at lovers' perjuries, they say Jove laughs. Jove is Jupiter or Zeus. So God is here who she's trying to represent. It's just a colloquial way of referring. Jove laughs when lovers are perjurous. So she's very concerned that Romeo does not love her as much as she loves him and will be too quick to swear love, but it's not true. So he says, "O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or, if you thinkest I am too quickly won, if I'm in too quickly and there's not enough chase for you, whatever you need, I'll frown and be perverse. Not perverse, like I'm going to be perverted, but I'm going to be contrary to how I'm acting now. And I'll say thee nay, so thou wilt woo. I'll say no to you, so I'll play hard to get, if this is what's going to work for you, if I'm being too quickly won. But else, otherwise not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, I'm too infatuated with you. And therefore, because I'm too fond, thou might think my behavior light, meaning loose. You might think that I'm being a little too easy, that I'm being too quickly won over. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have the coying, meaning coyness, than those who, coy is like, I'm playing hard to get. I'll be more true than those that have the coin to be strange, which is distant. Again, playing hard to get. I'm going to keep my distance. You got to chase me a little bit. I'm not going to give in too quickly. And that's for propriety's sake. That's also to show, like, hey, I'm not too quickly won over. I'm not just going with whatever guy shows me an affection. Because she's worried about how she's going to appear. And then she admits, I should have been more strange, I must confess. But that thou overheardest ere I was aware, ere being before I was aware. So you overheard my thoughts before I knew you were here, my true love passion. Therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered. So do not impute this yielding to light love, to loose love, which you have heard because the dark night has been about me. And Romeo, he's in. He says, lady, by yonder blessed moon I vow, that tips with silver light, all these fruit tree tops. And Juliet interrupts and she says, oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable. The moon changes, so don't swear by the moon, because then your love could change. I want your love to be constant. Romeo asks, what shall I swear by? He says, do not swear at all. Or, if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the God of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee. Swear by yourself. First of all, you shouldn't swear at all, right? These Romeo and Juliet are Christians, and it says you should be swearing. But if you are going to swear by yourself, who's the God of my idolatry? They worship each other. And that's part of the problem here, is that when love goes beyond what it should be for other humans, in this case, taking love for God and applying it to humans, that's going to lead to their downfall, which it does. And Romeo's guilty of it right from the get-go, calling her a blessed saint, purging his sin, which only God can do. And she just says, you straight up are the God of my idolatry. I'll believe thee if you swear by yourself. Romeo, and if my heart's dear love, well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. Contract, exchange of vows. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, this exchange of love's vows. Too like the lightning which doth cease, stop to be, ere one can say it lightens. It's all happening as fast as lightning. Sweet, good night. This bud of love, by summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Right now, this thing we have, it's like a seed. But next time we meet, it might blossom into something beautiful, so let's be patient. Good night, good night. As sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast. Romeo is not going to leave that. He says, oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? Well, what satisfaction canst thou have tonight? He wants the exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine. Swear you'll be mine, I'll swear I'm yours. Juliet just has to laugh. I gave thee mine before thou didst request it. I already gave you my vow. And yet, I wish it would be. I would it were to give again. I wish it were available to give again. I wish I could take back my vow just so I could give it. Wouldst thou withdraw it, your vow of love? For what purpose, love? But to be frank, to be generous, to be honest, and give it thee again. And yet, I wish but for the thing I have. The thing that I want is to give my love to you, and I have it. My love, my bounty, the bountiful things that I have is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee of my love, the more I have, for both are infinite. The nurse calls within. I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu, French for goodbye. Anon, which means one moment or right away. Good nurse, sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little. Stay here. I will come again. And she exits. And Romeo takes a moment. Oh, blessed, blessed night. I am afeard being in night. All this is but a dream. Too flattering sweet to be substantial. It doesn't have any, I'm afraid it doesn't have substance. Pinch me, I must be dreaming. That's what we're saying here. Enter Juliet above. 3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow. If you want to get married, send me word tomorrow. By one that I'll procure to come to thee. I'm going to send someone to come to you, and if you want to get married, send them back with that word. Where and what time thou wilt perform the marriage rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world. Set aside all of my inheritance and be with you. The nurse calls again, Madam, I come anon, but if thou meanest not well, you don't want to get married, I do beseech thee, Madam, by and by I come. Now back to Romeo, because here's that dash. To cease, to stop thy strife, thy striving. He's striving to woo her. So if you don't mean well, to cease thy strife and leave me to my grief, because she'll be heartbroken. Tomorrow will I send. He says, so thrive my soul, meaning on peril of damnation. I'm going to do this, and if not, so thrive my soul. It's like cross my heart. 1,000 times good night. And she leaves. And Romeo comments, 1,000 times the worse to want thy light. So saying good night, now I 1,000 times more want and lack your light. Because remember, Juliet is the sun. And he comments that love goes towards love as schoolboys, with the same enthusiasm that schoolboys have when they leave from their books. So when love is going towards love, same enthusiasm as when schoolboys leave their books. But love from love towards school with heavy looks. So maybe when your teacher's like, hey, pull out Romeo and Juliet, and you go, oh no. That's what Romeo is like when I'm leaving my love. But when they say, hey, that's the end of the hour, time to close it on up, that's the excitement that he's feeling when love goes towards love. And guess what? He gets that excitement because Juliet enters again. Says, hist, Romeo, hist. And hist is a falconer's call. And she comments on that. She says, oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tercel gentle back again. Tercel gentle is a male peregrine falcon. It's literally a noble hawk. So she's calling him, it's like calling him, like honey or sweetie. It can be a nickname, but especially because he's using this call, hist. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else I would tear the cave where echo lies. Bondage, she's bound, she's trapped in her house. So it's hoarse, and she may not speak aloud, else I would split with cries the cave where Echo lies. Echo is an actual woman from Greek mythology who is cursed to only repeat what she hears. So I would tear apart the cave where Echo, the woman, is, and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo. She would call off Romeo names so often that Echo would be just repeating this name over and over and over again, because she's repeating the name over and over again. And Romeo says, it is my soul that calls upon my name. Juliet is my soul. How silver sweet sounds lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears. Romeo, mine Aias, which means young hawk, what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee? What time should I send my servant to you tomorrow? By the hour of 9. I will not fail. 'Tis 20 year till then. Because when you're in love, time moves so slowly when you're apart. And then as they're staring at each other, I have forgot why I did call thee back. And that can be played out very, very sweetly. You know, when lovers are kind of like looking at each other and like, I lost my train of thought. These two are so in love, and they've made all of these professions to each other. They are just head over heels. So she forgot why she called Romeo back, and Romeo says, well, let me stand here till thou remember it. Juliet says, I shall forget to have thee still stand there. If I can keep you standing here forever, I'm going to forget forever. If forgetting is what keeps you here, remembering how I love thy company. And I'll stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this. They just want to be in this moment forever. And as much as we can be like, Romeo, Juliet, you're just teenagers, it's infatuation, there's something very sweet about this, especially at this moment. It's very sweet. But Juliet notices, 'tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no farther than a wanton's bird, a spoiled child's bird, that lets it hop a little from his hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves or chains, fetters, and with a silken thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of his liberty. Here's an extended simile, right? I want you to go, but I just pluck you back immediately, as if you were a bird. The second you fly away, I have a leash on you, and I pull you back. And Romeo says, I would I were thy bird. I wish I were thy bird. And at this point, it stops getting a little sweet, and it's like, okay, chill out, dude. Juliet, sweet, so would I. Yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Sometimes it's like, hey, be careful. You hand like a new baby to their young sibling who doesn't know to be careful with babies. You go, careful, because you can smother it too much. Or same with pets. You got to be careful. You got to be gentle. You can love something to death, quite literally. And she says, this is what I would, if you were my bird, I would kill you with my cherishing. And it's pretty ironic. In fact, it's called dramatic irony, because we know something that Romeo and Juliet do not know, which is that this is actually true. Juliet, in a sense, is going to kill Romeo with much cherishing. Their love is going to lead to their mutual demise. What's sweet here has a double meaning that we know, because the chorus told us right from the get-go, Romeo and Juliet are not making it out alive. It's a tragedy, as sweet as it is now. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow. Romeo says, sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace, so sweet to rest. So may sleep dwell upon your eyes and peace in your breast. I wish that I were sleep and peace, and because then I'd be dwelling and resting in and on and with you, and that'd be so sweet to rest. And Juliet exits, and Romeo decides, I'm going to go. He says, hence, now I will go to my ghostly friar's close cell. Ghostly meaning spiritual, like Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit. Friar, he's a priest, he's a Franciscan friar. Close, meaning small or private. Cell. Think of a prison cell, but cell doesn't just mean prison. That's actually, prison adopted that word. A cell just means a small private room. The same thing that we get like cells that make up creatures and whatnot. They are tiny little boxes, tiny little rooms. So he's going to go to the Franciscan friar's cell where he lives, his help to crave, to help get married, and my dear happenings, my dear happiness, my dear fortune to tell. So he's going to go off to see the friar to make plans to get married. And thus ends the balcony scene. They have plans to get married, and Romeo is off to start making the plans. We're going to find out more about that as we are getting closer and closer to their plans being made and perhaps foiled and ending in death. Too bad that they're going to kill one another with much cherishing. We'll have to read more about that later. Thanks for joining.